All right, guys. Hey, welcome back. So I got it all together now. I got just about everything kind of worked out with this particular unit, except for what I will have to do to fix the lower post, the exposed post in the back there. I do have a solution for it. I did contact Guitar Gardens, and I think it's a man and husband and wife team that are shipping these out from the supplier. Anyway, I agreed to a $90 adjustable refund because of the lower post, which I'm going to do what a lot of luthiers do. I'm going to use some mahogany wood filler dust and some super glue and fill that in, and that will just make the post more secure. I really don't feel like it's going to break away, but with that added support, I think it'll be more than stable. So here's a good shot of the back. Um, this is a wonderful sounding guitar, and I just hooked it up to the multimeter, and we'll get some readings. This one is more favorable because of the flame maple on the neck. It's got a lot of figuring. In fact, the figuring is so strong, it's a little distracting with the side markers. I kind of get lost spotting them because it's so rich on the top side. Um, so yeah, it's got a lot of figuring, guys. Now the other one that I got was a bit brighter. The mahogany, the roasted maple was. I'm sorry, I don't know why I said mahogany. The roasted maple was a lighter, so the flamed maple on the back was more pronounced. This is kind of hidden in the dark roasting of this particular one, but it's there. It just all depends on where you're looking at it from. But here at this angle here, it's a lot like that. It's just very very rich. So we'll take a listen to that. I wanted to show you briefly the readings on the pickups, so you kind of know from this particular demo what it is you're getting. Um, it's hard to find a negative other than what happened here in the back of the cavity. That's really the only negative. This particular Floyd Rose, while it's not original, of course, it really does a good job. There isn't anything you're going to do to get it out of tune. I used to be not a Floyd Rose type of person because I always didn't really like my hand hitting the locking nut, but I've kind of gotten used to that and maybe kind of avoid that area a little bit more than usual. But the nice thing about it is your guitar really doesn't go out of tune. And this is coming back to zero quite good. I mean, it's not like when you use the whammy, a cheap one or a really bad one, you just won't be able to let it, it won't come back into tune. But this is really really nice. And the tremolo arm is really good. It's not, there's no, I don't really feel a lot of looseness in there. And, depending on how it's a good trem arm too. Um, and again, I did angle the switch so it's more at of an angle so I can go back and forth real easy with a swipe of my hand. That's a lot better than having it going up and down, which is kind of with the volume knob right exactly underneath it. It's kind of a bad position for that. It would have been better maybe right here or somewhere else, but it's okay. I mean, it actually as long as you angle it, you're gonna get great performance out of that because it's gonna be really quick that you can just bam, bam, boom, 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 and you know, boom, there you're back in the bridge, and bam, you're back in the neck. So that's the best way to set this guitar up. Um, but just a beautiful neck. Now this neck is not going to be for everyone um, because of the radius. It's super flat, um, and if you're a shredder, this is a great neck. But if you're more of your average Fender player and you like a nice radius, because a 9.5 radius is a nice radius to play with. Your hands feel a little bit more comfortable. wrapping around the neck. But with a wider neck, you know, it's more flat, so you just don't feel as comfortable. You know, unless you're playing a lot of lead chords where you really don't feel a lot of it. But if you're playing bar chords, you're definitely going to notice a difference from the back of the neck to the top corners. And the corners are kind of soft, definitely. They're not harsh. Um, but the ball and the ball and frets make it more enjoyable to that. Yeah, but it is a wider neck. You know, it's a compound radius. I think what did they say it was a 9.5 to 14. But definitely just a wonderful playing instrument. The pickups sound good, and let me just show you the readings so that you kind of get it. Let me set that up real quick. All right, guys. So here we are, the multimeter. Right now, I am in the bridge position. So we're looking at 13.54K. So we're moving in on a 14K humbucker there in the bridge. You know, if we go to the middle, now we're looking at a 4.84K in the middle, which is nice. That's a pretty mellow tone right there. In fact, it's a very, very, really nice tone. And then the neck, it is a 7.42K in the neck pickup. So that's a good variation right there. So you're not so hot here, nice and mellow in the middle, and then a little bit more drive on the humbucker in the bridge. So that's a good design right there. It's not way over the top. It's not super hot in the neck, and it's really mellow in the middle. And I like to see that. The Chinese, man, they're really doing a good job of creating good humbuckers in the market. In fact, with my Firefly Telly redo, those pickups really were surprising to me. Just a wonderful sounding Telly type pickups, non-branded, but man, did they just sound killer. So you know, the Chinese are really good at a lot of things, and then some things, you know, they're not so good at. But you just never know. You know, some things work and then some. So those are your readings, guys, on the multimeter. Let's get back to checking it out again on another. Let me get out of this, and then we'll get back to the guitar. All right, welcome back. Yeah, so now we're back to getting to the guitar. So, you know, in my honest opinion, again, you know, this is not a sponsored video. I have nothing to do with Guitar Gardens or this instrument, you know, from Firefly, and the manufacturer of the instrument, you know. But this particular design, this FFMN, is a really good guitar. I mean, it really stands up against the competition in so many ways as far as its playability. And I'm very critical when it comes to these Chinese imports and what they are all offering. Donner, I mean, Donner, they offer a competitive guitar, but you know, it's going to cost you at least $100 more. And a lot of the Chinese imports, you know, they're going from this $200 range for a decent one up to $400 to $500. So, you know, and you're getting a lot of bang for the buck. I mean, if these are stainless steel frets, that's fine. When you first get the guitar, you need to spend some time polishing out these frets. I thought I'd spent enough time, but they're still just a little bit scratchy, but they'll wear in more. And I didn't spend a whole lot of time buffing them out, just average time. I think I spent like 20 minutes with my Fred eraser, polished them out, but still they were a little scratchy. Playability, this thing has got great playability. Now I have this tuned down a half step, and like I've always said before with guitars, if you tune them up to standard tuning and they're stiff and that's not your kind of thing, you know, I don't like stiff guitars. I like more flimsy guitars for bending and stuff like that. Then go down a half step. A lot of famous guitar players, world, you know, very famous guitar players, even like Joe Satriani, and they all tune. A lot of their guitars are tuned down a half step, so not everything is in standard tuning. So you got to have some guitars that that are down a half step. This is down a half step, and it's great. I mean, the action's absolutely perfect. Adjusted the strings. The Floyd Rose is dead center, floating, and no problem. So this Floyd Rose is coming back to zero. This, counterfeit Floyd Rose. I don't really believe it's real, but it's doing a very good job. So I give it credit for that. It's not so bad that it's going out of tune. So right now we're in the bridge. Intonation is, I haven't even really checked the intonation. I'm just listening to the guitar out of the box without adjusting the intonation. All I've done is a sort of a mild setup, new strings, changed out the pick, adjusted the toggle switch, and adjusted my the screws for the springs, to bring more level. But I haven't done anything to the intonation. I hydrated the neck. It sounds great, man. I mean, with no tone knob, I think the rule is when you add a tone knob, you create, you're losing less signal. So that's why you see a lot of guitars with just a volume knob, because you're getting more pure tone from the pickups, because you're not having to go through a capacitor and another potentiometer, where it's true, you do lose a little bit of that signal or a little bit of the tone from the pickups. What else can I say about the pickups? Height adjustments. There's no springs underneath the screws, so the screws are pretty much hard-bodied, screwed into the body, so there's very little resistance here. This might need some very tiny springs to allow when you're adjusting. Like I remember I was trying to raise the neck pickup a little bit, and I actually had to pull it up because it didn't have any sort of resistance. It wouldn't come up on its own, so I actually kind of pulled on it, and I noticed, there's not a lot of resistance there. So either a piece of foam for resistance or some springs in the screws will help to lower and raise the pickups. But they're perfectly squared. They're not leaning like on some pickups you've seen. Sometimes they lean forward or backwards. But it's dead on, man. It's just dead on. Playability is great. All right, here's the middle. Yeah, it's got a nice sort of country vibe, Yeah, the playability is really fantastic on this unit. On this particular demo, and like all my demos, I'm using my Yamaha THR-10X in a very clean. It's very, you can modify every one of the channels to your preference. And so for me to make this more switchable between a dirty and a clean, I have mastered a couple clean tones. One with a very spacious ambient tone, and then this one which is very mild, very stereo like, with some reverb, but it's very true to the guitar. It's very true to the pickups, and so when I throw on the Behringer distortion, you're really hearing a lot of the pickups. I notice a lot of guitar players when they do demos on guitars, it's like they're more showboating their talent rather than what you really want to hear. You really want to hear how the pickups respond, how they sound in certain types of playing, chords, bar chords, and bends. And so you kind of get a good idea of how this one particular unit will sound. Because everyone has a different amp, so not all amp settings are good. Some guys will pick up a guitar and do a demo with a very crappy amp, and it's really like, it's not good because you're really not hearing the potential for the guitar to be on a professional level. So with this Yamaha, you get a really good clean sound. Okay, that's the middles are really sweet, man. Here's the neck. It's a really nice neck pickup, you know. I saw one demo of the same exact guitar, and because I was liking more that he was actually showing the wood of the neck, I was like, yeah, let me try this Firefly, and I was really getting it. But there was something about him not just doing enough to really focus on the sounds. He was more just kind of like jamming through it. He did zero setup to it, and it was like, to me, that's just a very rough demo. You're hearing all the scratchiness of the frets and everything else. It wasn't at all set up. Like with any Chinese import, it's always best to just take the time, do a good setup. Out of the box, it's not going to be favorable. You got to really spend the time to bring it, to the level of your playing. Because this is a great instrument for the money. It really is. I mean, it's like one of the best. It's really nice. I mean, the playability is so flimsy. It's absolutely wonderful. And with the stability of the whammy with the Floyd Rose. go. Oh, I'm near the middle. Nice guitar, guys. This video is going to push about 30 minutes. Sorry about that. But let's get on with some distortion. And again, distortion settings are very, how would I say, deceiving. So with this distortion, I'm using a Behringer Ultra Metal. It's a lot like the Boss Ultra Metals. It's a good pedal, very, very cheap. But I found that this pedal, it's just really good sounding. It's not some crazy bacon sizzling type of distortion. It's a really mellow pedal where if you wanted to crank the shit out of it, you could, but you know, I never have it all the way up. It's either just a quarter of a turn or half. And it's got some good settings on tone as far as treble, mid, and low bass settings and your gain. So I have everything pretty mellow, so it's pretty straightforward. We'll turn it on now, and you heard in the bridge. I mean, come on, that's like, I just don't think some of these other Chinese imports can compete with that. Because, you know, a lot of that's coming from the body, the neck. It's just like the pickups, it's all like working together on this particular unit. Really, really nice. I think the Firefly altogether is it's just more of a superior product at its price point. Compared to a lot of the other Chinese imports. This guitar is smoking badass. It really is for you guys who like to shred or who like to rock, you know, hard. So there's a good example of how this Floyd Rose, is coming back to zero. And that is so important when you're getting on the whammy, man. Not even the Floyd Rose on my Charvel is doing as good of a job as this one is doing right here. So that just goes to show you just never know, man. So I guess everything is working together right on. Let's hear a little bit of the middle. So the feeling in my hand against the wood and the frets is absolutely just a dream. It's like I this is gonna sound stupid, but I have had some Ernie Ball guitars with the same sort of figuring on the neck, and we are not too far away from that. From a $3,000 feeling neck, this is really. All right, here's a little bit of the neck, and we'll end the video. Let's drop the volume down. So it's got a lot of that scoop tone definitely going on, in the middle and in the neck. And then for that tighter crunch, you got it right here in the bridge. Middle. And then the neck. Now the middle and neck share a lot of the same tones, except for when you're in the neck, the bottom portion of the strings are brighter, like. And then in the neck, slightly brighter in the neck humbucker. Well, that's it, guys. That's my review of the Firefly FFMN. This is a wonderful guitar. If you happen to buy one, definitely check it out. Make sure that there's nothing defective in the back and the lower post. But this is a wonderful instrument for the money. And Now, that particular issue is fixable for me, so it's not going to be so much of a big deal. You know, with my years with guitars, 35 plus years of playing and working on them and discovering and learning, and now I'm able to do all of my own setups, you know, intonation, set the radius, set the action, neck, and all that. You learn all those things through the years. So when you find an issue with an exposed part of the post, you know, there's a remedy for that when you watch a lot of YouTube channels of luthiers fixing issues of that kind. So, you know, some mahogany wood dust filler and some super glue will kind of give that more support, but I don't really think anything bad's going to happen. But just a beautiful piece of mahogany in the back, a really nice figured triple flamed A maple top, beautiful piece of flamed maple, roasted flamed maple fretboard and neck. This is a wonderful instrument for the money. I don't think you can get any better for the money. Not anywhere close. And this is going to wrap it up for me. This will actually be the last guitar that I will demo with this whole Chinese kind of a thing. I have too many guitars, but this one is definitely a keeper. I love the playability. For me, it's the playability of this instrument that will make it one of my, you know, favorite guitars for sure. Man, getting down here, and then also lastly is the bottom frets. They're nicely spaced, so you can, if you have a little bit of a chubby finger like me, you can really kind of get down there. Unlike a 24 fret guitar, man, where the frets get really, really narrow and it's kind of hard to hit, you know, precisely those notes you want to hit, because it's just like your fingers are really overlapping on the frets. This is a really nice neck. I mean, very nicely spaced frets here. Just a really just awesome, really. Yeah, it's really, really nice down there. You can really focus in on making sure that note is being played very, very clean. Whereas a 24 fret, man, it's the spacing is so narrow. It's really hard to kind of get in there and dig and get those notes kind of really clean. Unless you have slinky fingers, that's great. Hey, well, thanks for spending. Sorry for the long video, but I hope you'll have a great Christmas, and check one of these out. I don't think you'll be disappointed if you follow this guide for what I think will really make this guitar really professional. Is, like I said, do a clean setup, polish the frets, spend some time polishing these frets. It really needs to be addressed on this unit. And put some nice strings on there. Angle the toggle switch so that it's at an angle rather than up and down. Get rid of that funky looking white knob that it comes with. Get a nice black one that kind of really blends in with it. And it really will, you know, make sure you got everything, your springs adjusted. I do have some foam underneath the springs to quiet them down. These are just, you know, the things you have to do when you get Chinese imports. You have to do a good setup. Once you've done your setup, yeah, then you can really get into it. Like I said, this is tuned down a half step, and man, it's just like, this thing is like butter, man. It's super sweet. Yeah, really nice. I can't be happier. I'm not going to worry too much about what I have to fix on it to make it right. It is just a wonderful playing guitar, but the quality of the neck speaks for itself, and it's got a good weight to it. So, you know, this is probably like 6 pounds, you know, 6.5. It's in that range, but really nice. I don't know. I can't say enough about it. It's a nice unit, and I hope you have a good experience with this particular unit if you happen to get one. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. Have a blessed week, and take care as always.